Hey everybody, it's time for another devotional thoughts. This time is from Psalm 47. I'm going to read it here. Clap your hands, all peoples. Shout to God with loud songs of joy. For the Lord, the Most High, is to be feared, a great king over all the earth. He subdues people under us and nations under our feet. He chose our heritage for us, the pride of Jacob, whom he loves. God has gone up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. Sing praises to God, sing praises to our King, sing praises, for God is the King of all the earth. Sing praises with a psalm. God reigns over the nations. God sits on his holy throne. The princes of the people gather as the people of God of Abraham, for the shields of the earth belong to God. He is highly exalted. So, looking at the different sections of this psalm, the first four verses set up this picture of praise, and it's Israel kind of recognizing God's favor for Israel, and you see that as he talks about he subdued people under us and nations under our feet. He chose our heritage for us. This is going back all the way to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And then the pride of Jacob, whom he loves. This is the nation of Israel. This is God's people, the tribes. And the command here is to, because of who God is, because of what he's done, the appropriate response is to praise. And so clap your hands, all people. Shout to God with loud songs of joy, for Yahweh, the Most High, is to be feared. All right, so why do we fear him? It's this divine reverence that is had for the King of the universe. And we dive into what that looks like in the next section, verses 5 through 7. So God has gone up with a shout, the Lord with the sound of a trumpet. This is this picture of a king taking his place on his throne. And we see this like after the conquest of taking over the world, now the king comes home, the king takes his throne and reigns in peace over his kingdom. And it's kind of what that looks like to me as I'm reading this. Gone up with a shout, this picture of ascending like a dais. And then the sound of a trumpet. This is announcing the royalty is present. And then, of course, verse 7, for God is the King of all the earth. And then response again, what do? We sing praises. And look at that passage 5 times. Sing praises to our God. Sing praises. Sing praises to our King. Sing praises for God's King of the earth. Sing praises with a psalm. It's almost like there's this really good king, and we should be praising him because he's really good to us. And as absurd as that sounds, it's so true. There is 100% always a reason to be singing praises. I don't know about you, but I mean, the reason that it's been months since there's been a video posted here is because it's been a hard number of months. And there have been days when it's been hard to come up with reasons to sing praises. But the reality is, see, that's just blindness. The reality is there's always a reason to sing praises, because as believers in Jesus, our greatest problem has already been solved. Our salvation has been secured because of the work of the God-man Jesus Christ on the cross for us. He took our sins upon himself, the sin that all of us are guilty of, the sin that would be condemning for all of us. He took that on himself, and he died on the cross. That's the penalty for our sin. But he didn't stay dead. He defeated sin and death, arose from the grave, and now reigns over all the earth. He is the King of the universe, and he's coming back for us. So I have to remind myself There are days that are just dark and difficult. I have to remind myself that there is many good reasons to sing praise. And this is the biggest one. Now, Israel is looking at themselves as God's chosen people and at the future that they have because they are God's chosen people. And they're right to be praising God. And we know even better because on this side of Christ, we see that hope, not just as this thing that's to come, but the thing that came and that is still coming. Let's move into the last section. God reigns over the nations. God sits on his holy throne. So here he is. He's ensconced in his throne. He's there. The princes of the people gather as the people of God of Abraham. As the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong to God, and he is highly exalted. So now the sphere has gone just from Israel to more than Israel. Right? It's not just God reigns over Israel, it's God reigns over all the earth, and all the nations are his. Verse 8, God reigns over all the nations. And then the princes of the people, you think about the leaders of not just the tribes of Israel, but the leaders of all of the people of the earth come and are under him. They are subject to him. We are subject to King Jesus. That last verse. So we have the princes of the people gather as the people of God of Abraham. So the peoples of the earth come together like Israel comes together to be under God. And then that next one, for the shields of the earth belong to God. Now, what's he saying with the shields of the earth? Based on what I've been looking up, it seems like shields is either like civil magistrates, other authorities of the country, or representation of the country, like the symbols that might be on a physical shield, perhaps, or then, like I said, these other administrative magistrates, things like that would be authorities of peoples. The point is, they all come under God. They all belong to God, because ultimately he is the creator of the universe. He's the king of the universe. He created the universe. He made us. Therefore, he has a stake in us. We belong to him. So then the final piece to praise, he is highly exalted. And this picture, this last section of this passage really makes me think a lot about like Revelation 21, where the nations of the earth come and gather under the authority of the reigning King Jesus for eternity. This is the hope that we have to look forward to. It's encouraging to know that dark days don't stay. There's hope. There's better days coming. No matter what you're going through today, no matter what the struggle is that you're under right now, there's better coming. And it might feel like, yeah, well, the reign of Christ over the world and his return, that could be a year or 10 years or 100 years or 1,000 years away. The reality is, we know that hope now as believers. The greatest problems that we have, specifically our sin being dealt with, has been handled for us. And because of that, there's a level of rest that we can take, even in the midst of dark days. No matter what it is that's going on, we know hope for a bigger problem. Now, maybe you're trying to figure out how to get the mortgage paid this month, or how you're going to get to work, or whatever. Those are significant issues, and God cares about those, and he uses means to accomplish his purposes to care for us. And the greatest problem that we have has already been solved. So if he's going to help us with our biggest problem, then it's only logical, like Paul says, that he's going to also help us with our lesser problems. He loves us. He cares about us. And he's given us the gift of each other to care for one another. So lean on the body of believers that you're connected with. If you're just a YouTube churcher, and I really encourage you to just connect with a local body of believers that can love you and care for you. We're not designed to do this alone. And there is hope. So be encouraged today. Read Psalm 47. Pray through that. God bless you.